So yesterday, we started talking about slope. We know several things about slope. We know slope is a constant. That means throughout the entire graph, the entire equation, it will stay the same. We are going to eventually have three different ways to find slope. The first way that we talked yesterday was to find it by counting. Well, when we say that we are going to count, we are going to use what two words? So again, what two words are we going to use? Isabella. Rise over run. Rise goes both up and down. Run goes both left and right. Still easy, right? We did this stuff yesterday. You should know which letters associate with which word. For rise, which letter associates with rise? Well, I need other hands than Evan, Haley, and Isabella. Come on. So you can go back to your notes from yesterday. What letter attaches with rise, which goes up and down? Maddie.
M.
Well, that's slope. Slope is M, so you can say M equals rise over run, but I want the letter that's going to be for rise. Megan.
Y.
Yeah, these are my Y's. So my Y values are my rises, which means my runs are going to be what? Alyssa?
X.
X. Nice. And then yesterday we talked about 4 different types of slope. We said that to have a positive slope, it goes uphill from left to right. To have a negative slope, it goes downhill from left to right. And then we haven't seen these yet. You've heard me talk about them, but we haven't seen them. A zero slope goes horizontally. We're going to see these today, and I'm going to try to explain why. And then the most confusing, even for mathematicians, is the one that goes vertically. This is called undefined. So we're going to spend a couple minutes going over these two, because you've been doing pretty well with rise over run. We're going to spend a couple minutes doing that, but let's start with zero and undefined. So again, it's going to say find slope, and it's going to give you a graph. Okay. Looking at this, you should already be able to tell, listen, my slope is 0. Yeah? It's going horizontal. We should be able to say m equals 0 and we should be done with it. But I want you to understand why. We can still do rise over run. So, we're climbing that ladder. The problem is the ladder's laying on the ground on a flat piece of ground. Can I climb up or down that ladder? How many spaces can I climb up? 0. So I'm going to put a 0 in the rise. So now I'm going to go over 1, 2. If you've got a calculator, get that out. So if you've got a calculator, get a calculator out. Yes, if you've got one, go ahead and get it. So this is the easy thing. You've been told this before. Anything divided by 0 is going to be what?
0.
0. 0 divided by 1,000,000 is 0. 0 divided by negative 22 is 0. If you plug into your calculator right now, 0 divided by 2, you should get 0. So we can say that our slope is 0. That's how I'm still using rise over run to prove that that is 0. Everybody good with me there? The next one, yeah, not so much. So we're still finding slope. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I have a ladder again, except my ladder's not leaning up against the house. We're kind of just holding it straight up and down. We can climb all day, right? So again, m equals, it's a fraction. Rise over run, yes? So my rise, how many am I going to rise? Well, does it matter which circle or dot point I start with? No. I'm going to climb 1, 2 to the axis, 3 up. How many do I go from left to right? Does it go anywhere left to right? Okay. So those with your calculator. Now I want you to do 3 divided by 0. Can you pull your calculator up on your phone? That's it? No, you do it first. Do 3 divided by 0. What's it give you? Okay, so, may I grab the phone? Okay. Simone got an error on her phone. Let's do it again. Let's make sure. So I'm doing 3 divided by 0. Maybe she did something wrong. No, it still says error. What'd you get on yours? Yeah. Error. Do it on yours because you've got a different calculator. I'm trying to show you that her phone is not the same as your calculator, is not the same as your calculator. What'd you get? Error? Error? Yeah, error. The reason it's an error is it is impossible. Here you go. Sorry. It is impossible right now to know enough math to divide a number by 0. 0 can be divided by anything, but as soon as we divide by 0, we get an error. It throws the mathematics world into a conundrum. There have been mathematicians throughout the ages that have argued back and forth what happens, bless you, when they divide by 0. To make it simple for middle schoolers and dumb adults like me, they say, hey, listen, you can't do it. When you can't do this, you're going to say, because it's an error, it's actually undefined. Undefined means we can't put a number with it. So when you get a 0 in the denominator, it is undefined. That's why this vertical line is actually undefined. Bless you. Questions on there? Could you look at this and say it's undefined without doing any work? Absolutely. Could you look at this and say m equals 0? Absolutely. If you have 0 over 2, am I going to mark it wrong? Yep. Okay? This is the only one that has, 0 doesn't have a fraction. 0 is just 0. Everything else needs to be a simplified fraction. Are there questions on rise over run? Can we do 2 more? Yes, sir.
So if the zero's above, you put n equals 0.
Yes, if the 0 is in the numerator, 0 divided by anything is 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. If the 0 is in the denominator, it's undefined. 0 in the numerator, it's going to be 0. But again, you're going to look at your line too. If it's horizontal, it's 0. If it's vertical, it's undefined. Okay? So we're going to try 2 problems, then I'll give you your work. Fair enough? Mm-hmm. Okay. Does everybody have these copied down? That's going to copy them down. You good? Gracie, you good? Maya, you good? Huh? You don't have this one? Okay. So still finding slope. So here's one. I'll make it nice and easy. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Find the slope of this guy. Find the slope of that guy. Go ahead. Those 2 problems. Nice and easy.
If you have a question while you're working, just ask. am gonna just give us a little reminder, okay? The first thing we're doing is we put m equals and then our fraction bar, right? Because we are solving for slope. The second thing we do is we see whether the line has a positive slope or a negative slope. We have those notes, it's up on the front board. We did the notes again today. So you have that information, okay? And then you're gonna find the rise over the run, rise over run. We start at the farthest left point, right? The point that's farthest to the left. And then we do the rise from there, okay? That make sense? Okay. Go ahead. Take it. Yes. Yeah, do the rise. So on this first one, you have to count the x-axis as an interval, okay? So we're gonna go down 1, 2. How many does it go below that? X-axis. How many intervals?
Wait a second. See what you got.
There's 2 above, and then how many below?
Number two.
Count them with me.
They keep it in fractions. 2 over 2 is 1, but it's
2.
1 over. So we should keep this a fraction, because that's going to help us as we start to graph.
5. Okay, so what's gonna be in the numerator?
Now, listen. See how you don't have a point there? You need to use the points that are given. Don't make up your own points here. Okay? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Is there a
Yes.
point right there? Use the points that are actually given to start. Because that might be
So
a
are you here?
point
Did you
of
draw that?
one.
Is this it?
We don't know that it's sitting there without a point yet. Okay?
You went too far.
So you would have gone
1, 2, 3, 4.
all the way over. So you've gone up
Okay.
to 1,
Which is
2,
fine. But
3,
so look,
4.
you go to the
Then
point
over
that's
1,
farthest to
2,
the left.
3, 4. So it would have
And
been
you
4 over
make
4,
your
which still simplifies down
triangle
to,
You do the rise first.
which is
Okay, so the up and down.
1 over
part.
1, yes. Okay,
When
but I
you
just
come
want you
to
to
where
use
this
those 2
point is,
points.
then it should be here. And you map your run. Go this way.
Okay, so I see that we're having a little bit of trouble.
So then you,
Okay.
this is where you get your.
Let's take a look at number 1. To start,
2.
I have m equals. I start with my fraction bar.
3,
I look at it.
4,
Is it positive? Is it negative? Swill.
3, new line.
Positive.
So number 1, from left to right, it's going downhill. So it's negative. It goes downhill, it's going to be negative. Now watch how I'm going to make my triangle. I start at the left point. Does my right point go up here? Is it somewhere up here? No. So I connect it by going downhill. I get to that same level, and then I go across. Everybody with me? So now I'm going to connect my rungs to my ladder. So to get down here to my next point, I have to climb this ladder. I climb down 1 rung, 2 rungs, 3, 4, 5. That's my rise. It's going down 5. Everybody with me there? Yes? Now we have to look at the runs. So I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I've got a slope of negative 5 over 5. Is that correct? Isabel, you're shaking your head no. Why not? You have to simplify it. So I can divide both by 5. I saw a lot of people putting negative 1, which is not incorrect. I would like you to keep it right now still as a fraction. As we start to graph, having whole numbers in your head is not going to help. So negative 5 over 5 is going to be, did I count wrong? No, I'm good. It's going to be negative 1 over 1. As we start to graph, you're going to want to have that fraction. Questions on number 1? Okay.
Mr. H?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I saw is that, and I always have heard and like to say that math is precise, which means that if the graph is drawn a certain way on the board, we've got to draw it the exact same way on the paper. So, make sure that you are copying the intervals correct. Make sure you are counting the x-axis as one of the intervals, okay, or the y-axis, both ways.
Yeah.
Because I saw, you know, our drawing also has to be exactly the same.
Absolutely. Number 2. I'm going to pick on Maya a little bit. I asked her. She said absolutely. She knew that this slope was positive. She put m in parentheses. And then Maya did this. She said, okay, she counted. She didn't even make a triangle. She went 1, 2, 1, 2, and put 2 over 2. Well, that's not wrong, but are we sure that point's going through the origin? Not yet. We have this point, we have this point. We need to use the points that are given to us if we're given points, okay? Maya did get the right answer. I'm not going to say it was wrong because it absolutely was not. I will say it might have been lucky this time because that's not always going to work. You might look at it and go, ooh, that looks good, and then all of a sudden it's off by, ooh, this little bit. Use the points that are given. I start with my left point. My right point's up higher, so I draw my line up. I draw my line over. It is positive. Find my rungs to my ladder. And Maya's like, but I already did this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 over, find your rungs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Maya says, wait a minute. I had 2 over 2, which is the same as 4 over 4. It is. The slope then is 1 over 1. Okay? On this case, Maya knew, hey, it is passing through the origin, but if we're given 2 points, use those 2 points. Does everybody understand that? There will become a time where I don't give you any points whatsoever, but I will never do that on a graph up on the board because my graph, I think I just spit a little bit, but my graphs aren't perfect enough for me to say that's going exactly through the origin. Everybody with me? Okay, we're going to see how these go. We're going to see how these go.